Hey everyone, how's it going? I want to do a quick vlog here, just discussing some things and conclusion to a decision that I've kind of been going over in my head for the past couple weeks now. So, you're looking at my amazing Acer X34 Predator at the moment. And what I'm going to be discussing is one of the glaring flaws with this modder. Now, it is no secret that when this modder released, it was subject to huge technical errors and just a lot of bad glitches. And it was one of the more infamous moments of this modder when it came out in October of 2015, is that it released and it just had these glaring issues that a $1,300 gaming monitor shouldn't have. People weren't hitting like the proper 100 hertz overclock on it. The monitor would flicker in and out at times like that. Sometimes it wouldn't recognize inputs. The monitor would freeze up and have issues. You get excessive backlight bleeding. On top of that, there'd be audio issues, coil whine, interlacing issues, and just all these weird problems with this display. And over time, Acer has rectified those issues, and now you can actually pick one up and pretty much guarantee, especially because they actually released a brand new, not a brand new version, I guess it is a brand new version, it's sort of an updated version of this monitor with a guaranteed 100 hertz overclock and nothing without all the issues. It's called the X34A. It looks exactly the same as the regular X34, it's just that I think the panel's been updated and so has the UI. So I got this monitor with the intent of it being the best gaming experience at the moment on the market, and I was completely right. This is the bottom line best gaming experience you will find for PC gaming, period, at this time. 100 hertz overclock, you get beautiful ultra wide, great resolution of 3440 by 1440, no scaling required in Windows to have everything up running. It's just a very beautiful panel with an IPS color, and everything's well calibrated. You get a nice strong contrast ratio and a really great input lag and response time for the panel, along with NVIDIA G-Sync that just adds icing on top of this delicious cake. So I'm getting rid of this monitor. And I know everyone's like, well, why? You know, I don't understand what's going on here, and that's exactly what I'm going to explain in this video. Now, you all know that I am a I guess I'm just a multi-avenued gamer, right? So I play games from a variety of devices on a variety of platforms, and I do play a variety of games. And I'm always either whatever game it is, it comes out on the Xbox, it comes out on the PlayStation 4, it comes out on the PC, I'm gonna be playing the game regardless of where the platform is. You know, it was just announced that Red Dead Redemption 2 would be coming to PS4 and Xbox One. You have a lot of people flipping out that it's not coming to PC. You know, it sucks. It's not coming to PC at the moment. They may release it later down the road, but, you know, Red Dead Redemption never made it to PC. It sucks. I understand why a lot of people are upset, especially PC-only gamers, but that's why I own all consoles. That's why I own all platforms, is because I don't have to pick and choose where my game experiences are. Wherever the best game experience is, whether it's on the PS4, the Xbox One, the PC, you know, I'm going there. And I have these consoles because I don't like to limit myself in my game experiences, because there are plenty of games on the consoles that are great, like great exclusives on the consoles that you can't get anywhere else. You know, and those are great game experiences that I don't want to miss out on. And then there are just great PC games and PC, you know, ports, let's just call them, that are just miles away than what anything the consoles can provide to you, and it's just a really great experience on there. So I keep switching back and forth. Now, my issue with this modder is actually not that if there's anything wrong with the PC side of things. If I was only PC gaming, I would keep this monitor. In fact, if you are only PC gaming, if you're a PC gamer only, this is the best gaming experience you can put on your desk in terms of a display. It is. It just hands down is. 100 hertz, 3440 by 1440, gorgeous resolution, IPS panel, great response times for the panel, great input lag ratings, and you get NVIDIA G-Sync. So it just, again, like you have an NVIDIA graphics card, it's an incredible experience if you're PC gaming. However, if you're someone like me and you have consoles and you need one display that can not only just play PC games but also do consoles, this is a terrible experience. It really is. And it's not because there are black bars on the the sides of the screen. I understand, any of us watch like SD content on TV, we have to deal with black bars on the sides of the screen for a 4:3 aspect ratio. It's just the way it is, As we progress, as screens get wider, new aspect ratios get become the standard and get welcomed into homes with TVs and monitors and whatnot. Our old content has to be formatted properly to fit that screen. And I could care less whether there's black borders on the sides or when I'm playing console games. The problem is not the borders. The problem here is that the aspect ratio for which the borders are displayed are wider than anything than a 16:9 aspect ratio than it should be. In fact, I'm going to switch over to my consoles right now. So we're going to open this up. Oh look, and this is actually the perfect timing. Here's one of the glitches that I'm also experiencing with this monitor. I can't pull up the UI, right? Look, I'm pressing buttons. I cannot pull up the UI. I'm going to turn the monitor off, watch. And the panel is still on. Like this is one of the issues that a lot of people were dealing with, and I got lucky in terms of my monitor hits 100 hertz perfectly fine with no issues. I don't have any coil whine. I don't have any interlacing issues. The panel's beautifully accurate in terms of color. I have I have an ICC profile on here, and I also have it calibrated with the settings, and on top of that, I also don't have excessive backlight bleeding. So I got a really good one, and I made sure I got a good one. Even though I bought this monitor used, the guy used it for 2 weeks and then decided he didn't want he wanted a 16:9 monitor instead. He wasn't ready to go to 21:9. For whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe he had a similar reason to me, but I'm not sure. As you can see, the monitor is technically off. I can't even turn it back on anymore. So the only way to fix this is to go to the back and pull out this power cord. Here we go. I'm going to plug the power cord back in, and the monitor reboots. Now, I'm not making excuses here, alright? No excuses in this video, no excuses. This shouldn't happen when you buy a $1,300 monitor. It shouldn't. When you're paying $1,300, which for a computer monitor, if this was a TV, you'd be like, okay, that's pretty good. You're like on the cusp of like a mid-range to good TV at $1,300 without like a sale going on or anything like that to reduce the price. You're like, okay, it's annoying, but it's not too bad. The picture's still really good. This is a monitor. We're talking like best-in-class, top-of-the-line shit at $1,300. All right? People don't spend that much on a monitor unless they're like artists and need like the most accurate color calibrated monitors on the market. All right, but we still have that issue with this. So the lights are on the bottom. We have the lights. That's fine, and I can pull up my UI finally. Boom. So we're gonna switch the input here, and now I'm on my PS4. Now you're probably looking at this and saying, "Huh." So it's a small black box in the middle of the screen. I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Why would you want to play this? No. I have it like this because this is the only way to fix this problem. I have it at a 1:1 aspect ratio, which means essentially it shrinks the image down to its full native resolution that the screen can display. So since the PS4 can only output at 1080p, it's going to shrink a box down to fill a full 1920 by 1080 in terms of pixels. That's what it's going to do. So we're going to, here we are, we're going to actually change the aspect ratio right now. As you can see, it's 1920 by 1080, perfect. We're going to go up and we're going to change the wide mode to aspect. Here we go, at aspect ratio. Now you're probably looking at this, and you're probably saying, okay, now you have your black bars on the top, on the sides of the screen, excuse me. But that's not the only issue. I want you to pay very close attention to the size and shape of the PS4 tiles as I change this. I'm going to go change it back to the 1:1 aspect ratio because that's the only way I can actually show you. Look at the tiles. You see how some of them, how I'm blowing up the aspect ratio, not only the image is actually getting bigger, but the tiles are getting wider. rectangle, square, rectangle, square, rectangle, square, rectangle, square. See how things are kind of getting out of proportion? And that's the big thing, the big issue with this monitor is that it's not displaying the correct aspect ratio when I'm playing my consoles. Circles have become ovals, rectangles have become squares, like the tiles on the PS4. You know, and I'm actually going to show you a better comparison. I'm going to switch back to my PC here. I'm actually going to boot up the PS4 Remote Play. And there's a reason I have PS4 Remote Play on here. It's a separate reason, but I actually want to do a video later on in the future. We don't need to do that. Start. It wants me to plug a controller in. One sec. Trying to do this with one arm. Alright, controller is in. It's going to connect to the PS4. Hopefully. There it is. Alright, so now it's connected to the PS4. I'm going to full screen this. Alright. This is the correct aspect ratio. Now, I'm going to try and switch the inputs again, and I want you to see the black bars, how they get wider. You see that? This is the correct 16:9 aspect ratio right now. And this is what the monitor is doing to the image. It's actually stretching it out to more of an 18 or 19:9 aspect ratio, and it looks fucking awful. I'm gonna mute this. And it looks awful. It really does. And I'm one of those people who, you know, I'm very tech savvy, right? So I know a lot of shit. And I can tell when I'm watching something on TV or if I'm playing a game or whatever, I can tell if something's not calibrated properly, if the brightness is set too high, if the contrast is set too high or too low, if the colors are too saturated or not. And a lot of people don't do that. What a lot of people don't do is they don't calibrate their TVs properly. And I mean properly. I'm not talking about going in here in the settings and then setting it to be what's good or what's not. I'm talking about going in here and actually looking up on a website about people who reviewed these monitors or reviewed these type of TVs and actually copying down the settings that they've used using professional equipment that cost around $400 or $500. That's the type of calibration I'm talking about. And I go a step further because on PC you can actually download ICC profiles which mess with the gamma correction and everything like that, so you can get an even more perfect image. But I'm one of those people who likes to do that because I want the most accurate image. I want what's the most intended image, not what just looks pretty to my eyes or whatever, because you actually lose detail over time. This monitor is really well calibrated, but this aspect ratio is something that I just notice over and over and over again when I'm playing. It doesn't even matter what game I'm playing. I swear, it's so annoying. I notice it all the time. I'm going to boot up Mirror's Edge Catalyst here, just to show you guys. And I'm actually going to switch the input right here. Like you can obviously see the black bars here on the side just kind of, you know, they kind of diminish a little bit further, and they kind of stretch out when I go back to the other input. And it's annoying. It really is, and it's a problem that I shouldn't be having on a monitor like this. It really shouldn't. Now, all in all, I don't think this is the monitor's fault. I really don't, because further research indicates that a lot of the issues that I've been having with consoles, for example, this monitor for some reason through the HDMI will not, and I repeat, will not actually support a full range RGB output. I have to use limited range, so my quality is even diminished further when playing on consoles. For those of you guys who don't know, full range RGB and limited RGB range consists with how wide the brightness and the darkness, how deep the blacks can go. It's not like HDR because you have a certain image, but actually RGB range goes hand in hand with HDR. But regardless, you know, look at the HUD element right here. See how that's a perfect circle? Another example. Now it's like a widened oval or something. It's not even perfect at all. And it's just shit like this that I notice all the time. I'm like, oh, it's a pretty city right here, and everything's stretched out. And this is the only way I can fix it, is by playing. Obviously, I'm not going to play through the PlayStation, you know, streaming app on the Windows desktop, because the problem with the streaming app on the Windows desktop is that you can only do 720p. If you get a PS4 Pro, you can do 1080p streaming, but for some reason they block that if you have the regular PS4. I don't know why. That's stupid. You know? So obviously now you know the issues that I'm dealing with. Now you know the correct issues that I'm just going through right now. Now you can understand what I'm talking about. And that's why I'm getting rid of this display. And by the way, here's what I mean. If I go to the settings here, right, all looks good. RGB range, all right? So if you have a computer monitor, all monitors, we're going to say most of the monitors, especially today, most monitors support full range RGB. It's just that's part of their gamut correction. If you're using a TV, it varies. Most of the higher end TVs that kind of support HDR here and there, and especially the 4K TVs, now support full range RGB. But before, you had to stick with limited RGB range. That's all you had. So I'm going to switch to full here, and I want you to see what it does. Obviously, look, no signal. Now it's not detecting the input. So it's a huge issue. It really is, because what happens here is that even though everything's perfectly calibrated, because the RGB range on the display is not properly set up. I think it's going to switch back soon, or it should. I might have to go back on my input here and then switch it back. It might be another glitch that we ran into. So it's a problem. All right, those are the two main issues I'm dealing with. It stretches out the image so it's not perfectly 16:9, because I could manage with the black bars if it was perfect 16:9, but it's not. And in limited RGB range is crap compared to full range RGB. It's just absolutely terrible, right? And it's just it's too much. It's too much for me, honestly, and it shouldn't be having these issues. And I think the thing just froze up again. Not even kidding you. Yep, look, I just turned the monitor off, and now it's not even detecting anything. So we're gonna unplug this and plug it back in. This is what I was talking about in my video where I'm like, no, I'm not dead. This is exactly what I was talking about. I'm done investing in shit that's not perfect. I'm done dealing with this. Now I have to change it back, and there we go. And now I'm on HDMI again. Now it's perfectly fine. I'm just done. I'm done investing in shit that's not perfect. It's not fair for someone to invest something like this amount of money and not get a perfect experience regardless of what they have plugged into it. If I was just PC gaming, no problems. It's perfectly fine. Even the issues with the UI and stuff like that, you only have to go into the UI once to calibrate color, and that's it, unless you have, you know, different inputs plugged in. So if you're just PC gaming, get this monitor. It's incredible. You need to experience games this way, honestly, if you're just PC gaming. But for someone like myself, who needs a display that can do everything, I need it so that I can play console games perfectly fine. I need a high refresh rate so I can really enjoy smooth, fast visuals when I am PC gaming, and I need a resolution that doesn't require me to do some bullshit scaling where I actually can gain a little bit of desktop real estate and actually use it for editing videos and whatnot. And this monitor just cannot do it all for me. So therefore, I'm getting rid of it. I'm not playing games. I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to play all these upcoming, like The Last Guardian, not playing that way. Final Fantasy 15, not playing it stretched like this with limited RGB range. Horizon Zero Dawn, I'm not playing it that way. No, it's not happening. What's another great console game or something that's coming out? I don't know, Crackdown 3, for example. I don't know when we're going to see that, but you get the point. I'm not playing games like this stretched out. It's not fair. It's a terrible experience, and it's gotten to the point now where I don't even want to turn on my PS4 or Xbox One at all when I'm gaming, when I'm here. It's gotten to the point now where I get my console games and I'll just bring them to Jake's house and I'll play on his 60-inch 4K TV, because even though that, you know, it's crappy because it's being upscaled, it still is the better experience than what I'm getting here. and the input lag is negligible when you consider, you know, going to a TV like his. I think it has like a 24 millisecond input lag rating, which is fine typically for TVs, you know, but it's not worth it to be sitting here and having this terrible experience. I mean, even looking at this, over time you can get used to it. Obviously, yeah, over time you can get used to it. I'm just not one of those. I'm just one of those people who's very technical, so I notice this shit all the time. I really do, and I hate it. It disgusts me. So I already ordered a new monitor. I did. I'm gonna show you guys right now. I already ordered a new monitor. I feel like this thing's just coming apart. So I just want to show you guys what I ordered. So we're gonna go to Asus. The PG348Q. This is what I ordered. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So I actually instead, and I'm actually gonna be talking about this. I'm gonna explain why I chose this. That's what I meant to say. The Asus MG27, not 8Q, it's the 279Q, which is the IPS version of the monitor. There it is. The 279Q, alright? 2560 by 1440, 144 Hz with an IPS panel. Now you might be asking yourself, Cameron, why did you get an IPS panel when you had a G-Sync monitor? You don't have an AMD graphics card. You can't use FreeSync. You can't take advantage of that. I know. Here's my problem with G-Sync. It's the G-Sync module that's causing these issues for this. That's my issue with the module itself. G-Sync is incredible, but I think it's causing the issues with the super wide aspect ratio for when I'm console gaming, and the fact that it doesn't support a full range RGB through the HDMI output. All right. The HDMI that's in the G-Sync module is HDMI 1.4. I believe this is 1.4 as well. It might be 2.0. And it doesn't say here. It just says it has 2 HDMIs. But that's also, you know, one of the issues. This monitor with the G-Sync module only supports one HDMI output, and that HDMI output has issues with displaying the correct aspect ratio of the input, as well as displaying a full range RGB you know, mode, which is just it's just annoying. It's too much for me to deal with. It honestly is. I know some people like just want a display that can just sit down and they can play, and it's just, oh, as long as it looks good or whatever, and they don't care. I understand that, but I'm not one of those people. And one of the issues, again, with G-Sync is you only have 2 inputs. You get DisplayPort, which you have to use for G-Sync, and then you get one HDMI output. Before, it used to be just DisplayPort. Then they updated it to HDMI output. And if I knew, a lot of people are like, well, why didn't you know about this beforehand? I want you to try and look up how many people would get a monitor like this and actually try and console game on it. It's very, very few amount of people who would spend this amount of money to mainly PC game on it, but to also play console games on it. There's practically no information. There is a thread on the Acer website dedicated to these issues, and it's hilarious because one of the guys actually spoke with the Acer spokesperson, and they're like, oh yeah, it's probably your device, to be completely honest with you. It's not us. So your device may just be screwed up. Like, the guy completely just gave him the middle finger and refused to fix the issue. And if they're gonna have that attitude towards people, you know, who spend this amount of money, then fuck them. Honestly, fuck them. I've had an Asus before. They're amazing monitors. I had the VG248QE, which was a 1080p TN 144Hz monitor. I loved that monitor, and eventually they made a G-Sync version of that monitor, and I loved that monitor. It was the best experience at the time, you know, because it had the lowest input lag, fastest response time. It was one of the very first, if not the first, I want to say, 144Hz TN 1080p monitor. I'm not sure if it was the first, but I know it was one of the first. And this monitor was the first 100 Hz ultra wide 3440 by 1440 G-Sync monitor. It was. And I love 100 Hz, right? And there is a slight difference between 100 and 144 Hz. It's not like you're going to notice it in everyday, you know, day-to-day use, but there is a slight difference. But it's going to be nice because essentially what I just bought, this monitor, which is already on the way, it's supposed to come next week, what I essentially just bought is basically the 1440p version of my VG248QE, except it has an IPS panel. and some FreeSync. The nice thing about FreeSync is that separate from G-Sync, G-Sync you have to pay for because it's an actual chip. You know how some HDR TVs have Dolby Vision and then some have HDR10? HDR10 is software-based stuff. It is. It's just what it does is it's just software. It doesn't require any extra money to be installed into the panel itself to get the HDR input. Dolby Vision is an actual module similar to G-Sync, which actually the manufacturer has to go in and install to the panel. And Dolby Vision, when it comes down to HDR10 versus Dolby Vision wins. Just like G-Sync versus FreeSync, G-Sync wins all the time. The problem that with G-Sync and the problem with Dolby Vision is that they require that module. They require that extra amount of money that the manufacturer has to go in here and install. So this monitor, without the G-Sync module, is typically around $800 or $900. They sell just a FreeSync version of the same monitor. It's the same panel, except it has software for FreeSync instead of the module of G-Sync. And it's amazing how much G-Sync costs extra, and G-Sync produces all these problems when connecting an input like a console into the HDMI input. It's perfect for PC gaming, perfect, but again, for someone like me who needs the extra inputs, who doesn't want to constantly reach back here and switch my HDMI stuff and actually, you know, get a good image for my consoles and my PC at the same time, it's worthless. So I know I'm just rambling at this point, but I just wanted to explain what was going on here. That's the issue that I'm having. That is why I'm getting rid of this monitor, and that is why I'm going back to a conventional 16:9 1440p 140 hertz monitor. It's a beautiful monitor. I love the design of this monitor. It's essentially the PG series, ROG Swift series, but except it's been, you know, kind of retooled for a more FreeSync look. Very subtle. The bezels are mostly thin. They're not as flat or thin as the PG series, but they're they're probably about this thick, to be honest, this black border right here, and they stick out instead. And Asus, as a manufacturer, I've always had monitors from them, and they're incredible. This is actually my first monitor I got from Acer, and it impressed me, but then it also had these glaring issues, and I think Acer, just like Samsung, rushed this monitor out to compete with Asus's PG348QE, their ultra-wide variant of this monitor, and they suffered because of that. So bottom line is this: if you want the perfect PC gaming monitor for only PC gaming, get this, or get the Asus variant. Alright, it's ultra-wide 3440 by 1440 with 100 Hz and G-Sync. Get it. It's perfect. It really is. If you want a monitor that's good for a console, that's like perfect for console gaming and also perfect for PC gaming, then you're gonna want something like a 1440p panel at 27 inches. You're going to want an IPS panel as well, and don't pay for G-Sync extra because you're only going to be limited to one input, and that one input doesn't even support full range RGB, which actually does make a difference visually. It really does. So that's it. I'm looking forward to getting my NG279Q. Again, it's gonna suck not having G-Sync because I've been used to G-Sync now, for a couple months. It's gonna suck, but you know what? I'm willing to make that sacrifice for a better overall console experience, and I have a GTX 1080. So that card is already pretty much good overkill for 1440p gaming. I'm even considering getting the 1080 Ti, and that's pretty damn good. I mean, we tested, I was at Jake's earlier today, and we tested the RX 480 with Battlefield 1, and I gave him my old VG248QE monitor, and it's running at like 75, 80 frames per second maxed out settings with that card. So considering I'm going to have 1440p, 33% more pixels than he does with his monitor, I'm going to have a GPU that's about 3 or 4 tons more powerful than the RX 480, yeah, the frame rates are going to probably be in the hundreds, and it's going to be glorious. So I'm looking forward to it. That's my rant. This monitor is amazing if you're just PC gaming, but for console gaming, it's a piece of crap. Do not pay this amount of money. First of all, you shouldn't be paying this amount of money for it and getting these problems. It just shouldn't happen, alright? Alright, just want to make this video, let you guys know that. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what you think, and my thoughts still stand on ultra-wide being the best way to go. But for me, unfortunately, I'm going back to 16:9, and that's probably where I'm going to be for the considerable future. If at any point I do go back to ultra-wide, I will be getting a TV for console gaming, and that will be the day. And don't say get a TV now, because there's nowhere to put a TV in this damn bedroom. It's too small. I'll see you guys later. Thank you.